Again, now with a dwindling economy, South Africa is in need of more investors. The EU Chamber of Commerce and Industry recently conducted surveys about perceptions of doing business with South Africa. And while our country is seen as being more business-friendly than some countries, investors are still concerned about a number of issues such as corruption and the ongoing rolling blackouts. To speak about this, let's get a view from business. Khanki Matabane of Black Business Council, he's the CEO there, joining us now. And Tate Matabane, good afternoon, and thank you very much for your time. It's not like people don't want to come and invest in South Africa from what we're hearing from this EU survey that has come out. South Africa is still seen somehow as attractive, but there are concerns. So my first question is, how would you, as BBC, for example, engage with a potential investor from outside addressing some of those concerns? How would you persuade them to say, no, man, please come and invest?
And Adam Muyari and the viewers, good afternoon, and then thank you very much for having us. I'll try and persuade the investors that we need them. There are big opportunities in South Africa, and we are, as a country, we are trying to solve the ESCOM issue. And as far as the corruption issue, there's evidence that we've done, for example, we've done the Zondo Commission, we've done other commissions, and a little bit by bit, people are being held accountable. So I think that would be the message, that we need the investors, we need them to come to South Africa and invest. They are not investing for charity, they will be able to get their return on investment. Our constitution is there amongst the best in the world, but the few issues like the ESCOM issue, we are solving it, but I think we just need to have a proper plan that says we will be inconveniencing you, Mr. Investor and Mrs. Investor, but in the next 2 years, the problem will be solved. Then you can come and, for example, if you want to put a manufacturing plant, you will be guaranteed some sort of electricity, but also government has also allowed private sector players to put their own electricity, to do their own renewable energy, and be able to supply themselves and then supply the community that is where they're operating. So it's not doom and gloom. There are internal issues that we have, but those are things that can be resolved.
Will my investment be safe in South Africa? How do you answer that?
Definitely. I think the South Africa's constitution is amongst the best, and there's a rule of law. You don't wake up like other countries in the continent where you wake up, you own a certain mineral right, and then when there's a change of administration, then you find that you don't own it anymore. So here there's continuity. It doesn't matter who's the president at any given time. It doesn't matter who's the minister at any given time. There will be continuity of ownership. When you own, we're guided by laws. We've got one of the strongest judiciary in South Africa. So as far as the investment being safe is concerned, that is guaranteed. The challenge, I think, is just all these other few issues that we need to deal with as a country.
What about the lack of accountability or consequence regarding corruption cases? We've seen the State Capture Commission, and we're expecting the final report now, and we've seen some of the earlier recommendations, but we're still waiting to see consequence. But now, how can I trust that you are dealing with corruption in South Africa properly, that there is consequence and accountability?
Yes, you'll recall they are, because we're in an environment that is driven by law. If, for example, I come to you and say, you are guilty of ABC, the law enforcement agency needs to investigate. So I think what we need to do is to strengthen the law enforcement agency to make sure that they've got more capacity and then they can move much quicker. But from a law point of view and rule of law point of view, you can't just wake up and arrest someone. There must be processes. Hence, after the Zondo Commission has presented their findings, There are people who are named there, and there are people who have already appeared in court. But that is a process that has to be followed because we've got the rule of law in South Africa. It's not a jungle where you just wake up and arrest people.
Another issue that comes up when we talk about investment and wooing investors to South Africa is the issue of stability, the risks, the political risks that are there. As BBC, how do you address them when they are put to you by potential investors?
Yeah, our democracy is maturing. Like any other maturing democracy, there will be changes. We started with one party that was basically dominating more than 60%. But as the democracy matures, there have been new parties that mushroomed. We've seen now, for example, in the metros, big metros and municipalities where we had elections, the dominant ruling party lost. And because of the rule of law, they did not cling into the power. They gave power to whoever won. So we don't see any challenge if, for example, it happens at the provincial level or it happens at the national level, because it has already happened in other provinces. For example, Western Cape, we've got a different party ruling. In KZN, we started with one party ruling, the next one won. There were no challenges in terms of handing in power. So as far as that is concerned, there is stability. I don't think there's anything that can prevent an investor coming to South Africa. I think we just need, as I said, we just need to sort out the few niggling things like the security of supply and deal with decisively with the issue of crime and all those type of things. But those are the things that are doable. We just need to put all our efforts in there to ensure that they have.
As business, are you confident about President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa's government's recovery plan post the pandemic?
We were part of the deliberations. What we are worried about is the implementation. There are so many other things that we agreed that there needs to be done. For example, focus on small businesses to make sure that we create the required jobs as per the National Development Plan 2030 that said 90% of the 11 million jobs that should be created by 2030 will come from small business. So we had thought that the focus would be on that. We had agreed, for example, on payment of small businesses on time, and that has not been happening. So we've raised that with the president in our dinner that we had 2 weeks ago. We're going to have a meeting with the president where we're going to sharply again raise the issue, because it's important that we stop talking, we start implementing. There's too much talk in South Africa. Someone was saying if we're entering Olympics of talks, we will have won the Olympics by now. But we say, let's stop the talk, let's start implementing. Even if we implement 10% of what we agreed upon, it should move the dial. So that's what we need to focus on as a country.
Thank you very much. That's Khanki Matabane, the CEO of the Black Business Council, just sharing with us some of the views and insights of how he, as business, would be wooing potential investors who are worried about levels of corruption in South Africa and wondering whether or not they will get a return on their investment, considering all kinds of risks, including social unrest, crime, and, of course, politics. Now,